We're on the wrong side.
Oh, God.
We're on the wrong side. We've got to change that. That's better.
There we go. That's better.
It's been so long. We even forgot which side we're supposed to be on.
It's been a while. God, it's been ages. It feels like ages. Did we manage to get one done while I was away? I think we did one.
Yes. I think it was one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Which was on the Tuesday, which would have been a Wednesday for you. Because any other day you were far too busy.
I know, and it's such a weird time.
It is.
Of the day. It got worse when it wasn't so bad when it was in New Zealand, but it got so much worse when it was in Australia because at 8 o'clock in the morning you were already done it. It was 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
So it got worse when we got into Australia. And depending on where we go to in Australia in the future, if we go other places, they have different time zones in Australia. It's that flipping big.
Yeah, is it 3 different time zones?
I think something like that, yeah.
It's very similar to America, isn't it? Because America's got 3, and then you've got Canada, and I think Canada's got several. It's just the world is such a big place.
It's a big place, but you know what, Garry?
But then it's a little place.
We're getting into every corner.
Yeah, every nook and cranny.
Every nook and cranny. Right, shall we say hello to some of our lovely, lovely viewers? What have we got here? We've got Gitte.
I'm in pole position.
Top of the shop. Great to have our dynamic duo back. I don't know if we call ourselves dynamic. Would you, Garry?
I don't feel very dynamic at the moment.
Neither do I. Second to none, says Pia. Dawn's here. Looking forward to it. See you soon. Shannon says, hello from Angie. I'm glad lovely horse is feeling a lot better today. Thorax Gargoyle says howdy from Oregon, USA. Michelle's here. Howdy from Michigan.
Hi Michelle.
Do you know somebody left a bit of a rude message? I've got to tell you this. I think I might have said this to you. They left a little bit of a rude message on one of my YouTubes, right? Saying,
oh yes, I saw that.
Get on with it.
Basically, will you stop saying hello to everybody and get on with it? No, we'll do exactly what we please when we please, because guess what? This is all free content. Bugger off.
And Tim said, I told Tim, and Tim was like, yes, tell us where we should send the refund of all the free stuff we're giving you.
Yes, exactly.
If you don't like it,
don't catch up, and by all means go on YouTube and actually press the fast forward button. Please yourself.
Yes, honestly, people are God almighty. Michelle says excited to hear the topic for today. What is it? Have we got a topipic for today?
No.
Oh, well, I'm excited to hear it as well, Michelle.
Just because they have been so awesome at giving me content, it's down to them now because they can do it.
Oh, good. Right. Marvellous. Very looking forward to that. Suzanne Shide's here. Hello again. Becky's here. Ellen's here. Hello.
Hi, Becky. Hi, Ellen.
Pia, hearts to Becky. Ellen says, question for Garry. The double S loop knife that has been coming with the blade on the outside versus the inside, have you had to change trimming technique?
Very slightly. Very slightly. The knife has to be angled slightly differently. When the blade's on the inside, it acts more like a plane. I could use...
I'm trying to think. I don't know what mine's. I think my blade's on the inside, the groove.
So if you have a blade, let me see if I can draw it.
Made me think now, Ellen. I don't know.
I'm absolutely rubbish at drawing.
The thing is, when you get skilled at doing it, you can pick up any knife and use it in a split second. You can adjust yourself to whatever however it's doing its thing.
It's almost at the feel of the knife, doesn't it? The feel of the knife, you know where it's catching. The only thing that I don't like about the blade on the outside is Is it the blade on the outside? I've got to think now. Mr. Dyslexic Head.
Sounds so technical.
Well, it's not really, but if you think about it, if you've got a knife, say you've got a butter knife, okay?
Excuse me if I yawn a bit. I'm still on that road. I'm not yawning because anything's boring. I do yawn.
It's just that she's fed up with me already.
No.
She's only been back 2 days.
I've got yawnitis.
So it'll be catching. I should start yawning in a minute. So when you got a butter knife, you've got a blade on both sides. And it's basically the sharp bits in the middle. So when you go into butter, it goes in straight.
Oh.
But then if you've got a blade on one side, you put it in and it actually veers off because the blade is only on one side. So depending on which side of the blade that the edge has been put on, sometimes it can dig in more. So you have to be more careful. Whereas if you imagine the flat bit on the outside, so that's contacting the hoof, it would act like a plane, like a wood plane. So it just takes that slither off. But if it's got the blade on this side, it has a tendency to dig in a little bit more. Do you see how the difference would be? Just on being on the blade being on the different side of the metal. It's very slight. It's very slight. But I had.
What does that mean for us as trimmers? Just feel your knife.
Yeah, you just have a feel for it. But the trick is you want to take a slither off at a time. You don't want it digging in. No,
and always, it's a very common thing when new owners start trimming is they hold the knife upright like a hoof pick. Put it down. Lay the blade as flat as possible onto the sole so that you're using as maximum amount of blade as possible.
The hoof knife is a little plane to take off your bars, maybe tidying up the frog, only if it's loose, and maybe getting a bit of hard sole plane. But hoof pick is for picking. Knife is for slicing.
Pierre, and everyone for your support to anyone, and your support to everybody else as well, Pierre, because you do a lot of that. You support a lot of other people too. Lots of hearts from Becky. Heather Swithenbanks here. Hi everyone. Angela's here. Hi all. Janet's here. Good evening from Spain. Thorax Gargle says, I love what Lindsay said that laminitis did not make high heels. Because
it didn't.
We see it everywhere, and I think this is a nice different way in. When people go, it was systemic laminitis, you say, oh, systemic caused the heels to rise more in one foot than the other. Systemic took the toe off on one foot more than the other, and it left the hind feet alone. That's what systemic laminitis did.
I had a phone call from one of our lovely second-year students, and she just had a little tiny query. But she said, oh, you'd never believe where I went this evening. She said, I went to see a new client, and the horse has just had its shoes off, which is great because it saves me a job. And when she phoned me up, she said, my horse has got rotation in the one front foot. And I said,
it's not funny, is it? But I mean,
it's not funny, but oh my God, it's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Oh my God.
It's systemic. Is it?
Lindsay, you're allowed to yawn. Oh, let's continue.
Is that weird, isn't it? When you pretend to do a yawn, it makes you yawn.
It does. And then it's catching. Good. I'm going to yawn in a minute.
We've got to keep saying that to people. Systemic isn't choosy. It isn't choosy.
But what was really interesting is the vet did all the bloods and they all came back normal.
They're not sick. No.
Because they're not sick.
And then they're like that.
Oh God, but how did it rotate? And then I turned round to Laura, and then I turned round to our student. I said, "Oh, let me guess. Oh, let me get my crystal ball. It was the right front." And she said, "How did you guess that?" And I said, "Well, it's only because 95% of hoof care professionals are right-handed, and the right-handed foot at the front is the one that they find the hardest to trim."
Yeah, that and the right hind.
That and the right hind. But I have to say, it's much more difficult for the right hind because the way that it moves to actually manipulate it as much as the front.
Well, to leave the heels, so
to leave the heels,
they have to wedge them on the hinds because they don't grow up. Damn things, damn Mother Nature.
Why
she doing?
Why won't they do that?
In my live this evening, I was talking about that. I was talking about the fact that how humans use the horse as the scapegoat because the horse can't speak, and how the horse is weak. It's genetics, it's the breed, it's the diet, because the horse is weak, because Mother Nature made it weak. Like, it's none of those things. If a horse could speak, he'd be going, "Well, I was getting along. Nay, I was getting along very well." And then the next thing that happened was that my owner moved house and got a different hoof care professional. Looked like a very nice person, nay, but then he came and fiddled about with my feet and made me a bit sore. And then I got more sore at every trim, nay. And then they got the vet. And I kept trying to tell them by sort of going, "It hurts," that something was going wrong with my feet. And then when they came, they stuck needles in me because they thought it was something else. And I tried to tell them it was the new man or the new girl that turned up and started fiddling with my feet. But no, nobody can ever be responsible. It's shocking. I do like how in laminitis, grass induced, as they call it, laminitis, etc., does choose. It's very
1 foot.
Yes, it loves particularly the right paw, but it's very choosy.
Yes, it's very choosy. And yes, it's the 1 foot, and all the other feet are absolutely fine and dandy and relatively healthy.
And then they look, don't they? And they go, and here's the irony, right? Let's get this bit of irony out there. So they've come to have a look at this horse's front feet. They x-ray them, and then they find the right foot's more rotated than the left foot, but both are rotated. That was systemic, right? Terrible. Systemic laminitis that caused both of those feet to look different. On systemic laminitis on the right foot made the heels grow 1 centimetre bigger on the right than it did on the left. It's incredible. It's incredible how it does that. And chop more toe off on the right than it did on the left. But hey, they were both rotated. Then they decided, because they weren't quite sure about the back feet, so they'd x-ray those as well. And they did. Do you know what they found in the back feet? Negative palmar angles. They were negative. Oh, but now P3 is going in a different direction. It's not systemic now. No, that's just because the back of the foot's failed, and we've got to put wedges in, because we realised that when we put a wedge in, we change the angle of P3. So that's what we need to do. Front feet, that was systemic. Systemic only to the front half of the body, because obviously it's not going to affect the back half of the body, because there's some kind of thing that goes around the middle that stops the systemic issues going to the back. There's a filter. There's a filter. It goes, boing, boing, boing. No, back to the front. Little laminitis, grass-induced laminitis, a systemic inflammation, gets to the middle of the body and it goes, go back the other way, down to the front feet. That's where you need to go. And while you're down there, make sure that 1 foot goes higher than the other. You're all right. Off you go. And then down at the back end, they're going, well, at the back end, it's just crap hoof care. Or the heels have collapsed. No. What's happened is you've left the toe too long, usually vertically, and the back of the hoof is therefore lower than the front. So we've got an NPA. Well, that we can fix with hoof care. We'll try and fix, but the front foot, oh no, that was systemic laminitis. When P3 goes one way, it's systemic. When it goes the other way, well, it's just a crappy hoof. Never is it ever the hoof care professional's fault. No, it does make you want to bash your head, doesn't it?
Against a brick wall. Every day. Every day.
So confused out there. They're so confused.
Every
I
day.
saw a post was sent to me today, a copy of a post where I will talk about this post, not tonight, but I'm going to talk about it on the public page, because we've got, the world has been obsessed obviously with P3 rotation, but it's also been obsessed with sinking. P3 just doesn't just rotate, it sinks. Even though there are an immense amount of connective tissue and tendons and ligaments holding everything in place. Now, in order for that to through the capsule, there has to be some tremendous failure of all of that mechanism, because it's not just connected to everything else, it's connected to the skin as well. Okay, because there's loads of connective tissue everywhere. And then what we hear is that P3 is sunk down through the capsule, with it taking P2. Now, the superficial flexor tendon is attached to the shoulders of P2. So in order for that to sink down through the capsule, the superficial flexor tendons had to have somehow gone and let go. Right? All the bits around the coronary groove, that's had to go and let go. The extensor tendons had to go and let go. The DDFT has had to go, well, that's pulling, it's pulling it. DDFT is pulling up and pulling down all at the same time. So all of these things are going on. And this post, it had an X-ray and it had the actual picture. And I'll be quite happy to talk about who it was that put the post up, and or the original post, and it was to do with Pete Ramey. And they were talking about how it's that Pete Ramey talks about how the hoof capsule's gone up in the air. It's kind of right. And everybody else talks about how the bones sink. Now, we've said this many, many times, hundreds and hundreds of times. The hoof is full of constants. Every single horse's foot. And when you have P2 in a more upright position, so when the horse is standing a little bit more upright, the top of the coronary groove will cross the bottom of P2 and go across the top of the navicular bone. That's just constant, because we know that. And so there's a pivot point right here, right at the very, very front. Imagine, I'm going to do it in the middle. So imagine the top of my fingers are the hairy bits. That's the pastern. And anything below that is horn. So the heel to horn line is this, right? So that pivot point there remains constant. Constant. And so what we have is when the coronary groove, this is the coronary groove, my hand is going to be the coronary groove. When it's at the right angle, we've got almost like a triangle, haven't we, on the floor? You know, some people say it's about 30 degrees. It's not far off, I suppose, but it varies slightly between horses, of course. But this bit at this point here doesn't. It never does, because it's at the top of the coronary groove. That one spot there never varies. And there are, all this connective tissue is all connected to it, like I said, as much, but masses of connective tissue. And the agonizing pain that horses have to go through when those heels start going up, like I said, everything's got connective tissue involved in it. As those heels start going up, what happens is the coronary band does this at the back, right? So we've still got the pivot point, but this happens here. Now, that's not the hoof capsule going up and the bones coming down. The bones are in the same position. The pivot point's in the same position. But as this pivots up, more of P2 appears in the capsule. More of all the bones appear in the capsule. Now, if vets can't comprehend, and other hoof care professionals can't seem to comprehend, that the heels are going up, toes coming off, causing rotation, I suppose it only goes to follow that they're not going to comprehend when they look at a hoof and a hoof capsule, where they see more of P2 in the hoof capsule, that in fact what's happened is, instead of it being down here, the coronary band has done this, causing a tremendous amount of strife and pain and suffering as those heels go up. Nothing has sunk. Nothing, because then we come along and we go, oh, and if we x-rayed it again, you wouldn't find the whole of P2 still, half of P2 still down inside the capsule, because it wouldn't be anymore. There's a pivot point, and that never changes. Never. It's the same on every single horse where it crosses. When P2's upright, it looks different when you've got, particularly if it's a hind foot, and you've got the pastern sloping backwards. So it looks like the coronary band is crossing. Sometimes it looks like it's crossing the distal interphalangeal joint, but it isn't. It's just that it's the position that the horse puts his bones in. The pivot point remains the same. So in the photograph and in the x-ray, they'd actually put that pivot point in the wrong place. They'd actually put it here on the x-ray and then across. Made it look even worse. Made it look like everything had pretty much gone. What happened to the superficial flexor tendon holding on to P2? What happened to the fetlock? What happened to the extensor tendon connected to the extensor process? What happened to all the ligaments? What happened to the DDFT, the digital cushion? It's so fundamental. It's so basic, but because the equine world will not accept responsibility for poor hoof care, everybody searches for an answer that's caused by the horse. And that is only caused by one thing, and that is incorrect, or in some cases, lack of hoof care. But usually when you get lack of hoof care, if a horse is in the right position and you get lack of hoof care, what tends to happen is everything just overgrows, doesn't it? And we might get, a bit like flump, get feet that look bizarre, but everything's just overgrown kind of together. Then when you come and trim it down, you've just got these nice little neat feet underneath. But on top of that also, we get the problems with owners who go, and this is so common, I'm just going to bring the horse in for the night. I'm going to bring the horse in because I bring him in for food, or I'll bring the horse in, and while they're in, they might as well stay in, or bring them in because the weather's not been very nice, etc., etc. The moment a horse comes in, and it is usually overnight, obviously it can happen the other way around if you're at a particular yard that makes that happen, that horse stops moving for usually around about anything from 6 to 12 hours is common. Well, that's half of 24. That's half of 24 hours. And when you have half of 24 hours, that means that 24 times 7, let me just do it quite, do you know what 24 times, help me out everybody, what's 20, Timmy's gone to sleep, I need his help.
What?
It's 24 times 7.
Sorry?
168, right. Half of 168 is 84. So for 84 hours, if that horse is coming in for 12 hours a day, for 84 hours a week, that horse is not moving. Hardly anything at all. Now, what does that do to the hooves? Oh, it causes a lot of problems, because for 84 hours a week, that horse's hooves are not doing anything. They're not being exfoliated. They're just stood about. And what happens is they keep growing because nothing ever stops growing. And if they haven't been balanced in the first place, that trajectory just gets worse and they compact. And then the hoof care professional turns up and he goes, oh, well, there doesn't appear to be anything to trim because there's no particular amount of hoof wall above that compaction. We've all seen it, those glassy looking feet. So they leave the heels and then go, but do you know what? He's not looking too good. He's a little bit off. So I tell you what we should do, chop the toes off. And that's the route. And then the owner keeps bringing them in. And then the farrier or the hoof care professional only turns up every 6 weeks saying to the owner, well, it's not a lot to trim. Just take more toe off. It's not a lot to trim. And doesn't recognize or realize, and never took any sequential photos, doesn't recognize and realize that it's what's happening. Then the horse gets more unsound and more problematic. So the horse owner keeps them in even more, compounded by the fact that the vet then turns up, x-rays, and we see P3 rotation, and they have to remain inside now because they're frightened of P3 coming through the bottom of the foot. And all of that led that horse to that situation. All of it led the horse to that point. And vets are so lacking in natural hoof care visuals. They just don't have it in their head. They don't spot it. And the hoof care professionals are so used to seeing it, they don't spot it either.
It's that age-old thing, isn't it? Just because it's common doesn't make it right.
No, but because it's common means that they don't have that picture in their head.
No, that's right.
Because I bet I guarantee to you that most equine vets have more shod, distorted, unnatural horses' hooves on their books than natural.
Yeah. For sure.
And so therefore, they haven't got the visual, have they?
No.
And that is so commonplace around the world. Now we got there all because Thorax said
high heels.
I love that laminitis didn't make high heels because it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Angela says Ellen Hall loop knife has the sharp edge on the inside.
I've got that on my shopping list when I come to the States. When I've got hold luggage, I'm going to buy one.
Oh, you've obviously all been having conversations about that. Thorax says, can high heels make stretched lamini? Yes, but it's the distortion of the hoof with the high heels.
Short answer, yes. Short answer, yes.
The short answer, yes. Right. Piers says, but not always. Piers says, yes, they can. Tracy Gray's here. Hi. Jeanette says, loop knives can have blades on the outside. I don't like them.
Neither do I.
Patty says,
like
hi.
On the inside.
I have to admit something. I don't really know. Can't care less. Laura, I probably do have a preference. I just don't know what it is. Laura says hi from Washington State. Kelly's here. Hello from Agua-Dulce in Is it Dulce? I've said that before. In California. Technically, I think we have 5.
I'm not sure what that's relating to.
Gail says hello all. Laura's here. What month is the Calgary clinic? It is
August.
The end of August. Right, hold on a minute. Let me just, because these are coming out.
Calgary's the last one, isn't it?
I don't know how somebody found the link, but somebody's already paid for one of them.
I can't even find the link, so it must be clever.
It's on the old link that was the New Zealand link, which I've changed it slightly. So 9th, 10th, 11th. No, it's not. Wait a minute. 2nd, 3rd, 4th of August is Bowie.
Bowie and Maryland.
Bowie, or whatever you call it, Maryland.
Bowie.
9th, Saturday the 9th, 10th and 11th is Slippery Rock in Pennsylvania. 16th, 17th and 18th, I think it's that way around, not 15th, 16th, 17th, I think it's 16th, 17th, 18th, is just west of Toronto in Canada. And then 23rd, 24th, 25th, I think it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Pretty sure it is. That is Calgary. So it's not the last weekend in August. The last weekend would be the 30th, 31st. It's the 23rd and 24th. And it's either going to be the Friday or the Monday. I think it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And Gary's going to be at 2 of them, aren't you? I think you're going to be at. Are you going to the Pennsylvania one as well? You're going to be at one of them. So Gary's going to be at. Are you going to stay for that first week workshop?
Yeah. So
yes. We'll have the first training camp, then the first workshop, then Gary's going home.
Yeah.
Tim will be with us. I don't know. I think Tim might be going home then. Anyway, it'll definitely be me and Asha. And
we will work it out. We will work it out. Which will
be, and in Canada, it's me, Asha, and I think George is coming over, which would be very lovely. Hello again, says Camilla. Dawn says, have you recovered from the jet lag, Lindsay? It's a killer, isn't it? Almost.
Almost a killer or almost recovered?
Both. I'll be feeling better tomorrow. I'm feeling better today than I was yesterday. Each day I feel better. If a horse never had rotation but had high heels and is now getting a TPW trim, will that horse still present a lamella wedge over time? Not if they haven't got separation. But you'll only know if they've got separation 2 ways. One, because you're starting to see a lamella wedge, showing you that it's had rotation. And 2, if you take an X-ray. Because oftentimes, or we can tell because we can see the distance, another constant between the frog and the end of the sole is always pretty consistent. And therefore, if it's very long, you know that sole's covering up a wedge. So when the horse is very like a Coke can, and then we drop the heels, and that bit goes, the front of the dorsal wall goes down like this, then you'll start to see a wedge.
The hoof is very clever at covering things up. When you have a very upright foot, it doesn't look as though it's got separation at all until you trim it correctly. And then all of a sudden, the separation thing. Oh my God, where's all this separation come from? It was always there. It was just hidden.
And a club foot, because club feet can have separation, but club feet can also not have separation and be very high heeled. That, when you go and lower the heels, won't show any separation. And it's all about hoof growth rates. It's all about uneven growth rates, because with a club foot, what's happening is the front of the foot, the dorsal bit, is growing faster than the heels, and hence it's doing this. But with a usually the way around we see it is that the heels are growing faster. Not they're growing fast, they're growing at the same speed, but they're growing faster than the toe. It's all about growth rates. And that's what causes separation. Becky says, if you don't yawn, if someone else does, then you're a psychopath, apparently.
That's us out then.
Yeah. I've got a really good. Ooh! So sorry. Double live with the dream team. Oh, look, it set you off. It's weird, isn't it? We're not psychopaths then. That's very lovely. Good to hear. Lovely to hear. One of my herders stretched lamini from chronic high heels. And of course, remember, you can have different amounts of lamini stretch in different feet because of the way that those feet have been trimmed. Again, the hilarious systemic laminitis was a bit choosy. How do we explain when vets say a mare develops laminitis in the left fore because it has injured her right hand and a pittle? Yeah. So that's called supporting limb laminitis.
Now we go back to, should we put that one leg in the stable, not moving, not getting trimmed, shall we?
Can't be trimmed, can it?
Out of that whole horse, let's take that one leg, stick it in a stable. We'll leave the other 3 legs on the horse out moving and doing everything it can, but that one leg is staying in the stable and not doing anything, and also can't be picked up to actually have any relative hoof care.
Right, so exactly. Now, the reason they've not got to the bottom of all of these laminitis, but particularly supporting limb laminitis is so terrible. Supporting limb laminitis, we don't know why it happens. It's all to do with loading and unloading. And for some reason, only in some horses rotation happens in supporting limb laminitis, and it doesn't in all of them. And that's another systemic thing. Why does rotation happen in those horses that have tested normal for everything? Because they're not systemic.
Not systemic.
Because there's something going on. Well, with supporting limb, what did the horse's foot like before it injured the other foot? What was the limb that they're standing on? What was it trimmed like when it hurt the other leg? Was it perfect? Lovely barefoot trim, not a problem. So 6 weeks standing around in a stable is not going to make any difference at all. Not really. It ain't going to be great, but it was nice and balanced when it went in. However, let's just say that horse went in with an unbalanced foot with its toe chopped off and its heel's pretty high anyway. In it goes, and for 6 weeks, that horse's foot goes, eep, and the poor bugger's standing on that, and it hurts. And now he can't stand on the other foot. And then they go, oh no, and they x-ray it and they go, oh no, supporting limb laminitis.
It's rotated.
They go round and around and around and up their own, because 1 minute they're saying it's not vascular, because Pollitt was going, it's not vascular, it's not vascular. Everybody's going, yes, it is, it's vascular. It's like, no, it's not, it's not. Now they get to supporting limb laminitis, they're like, it must be vascular. It's not loading anymore. But they can trim the hind feet because a horse can just about manage to cope on its one leg, and they can just about get in and trim the hind feet. It's about the fact that the foot that went in at the start when the horse hurt itself was either good or not very good. And then they don't move. And the not very good one gets bad. That's it. That's why they don't find supporting limb laminitis in every horse that's standing around on one foot. That's why they can't work it out. And you know what? They want another few $1 million of funding to work that out. All they got to do is look at the trim on the foot when it went in. And a lot of them are in shoes. So they're already knackered in the first place with a shitty looking foot. And a lot of them that go in will already have a modicum of separation and rotation anyway.
Yeah.
They're just being masked so they don't see it. It's very simple. But nobody wants to find that as the answer, because that means it's a hoof care professional human problem. And nobody wants it to be a human problem. Everybody wants it to be a weak horse, weak foot. Hope that answered your question, Patty. Dawn Lim says, thank you so much, Garry, for your lovely, long, informative message. It's very appreciated. I've been conversing with Tara and she's been awesome too. Sounds like you've all been working very hard. Ulrich says, hello. Welcome back. Piers says, my friend just put to sleep her mare because of hormonal laminitis in 3 hooves. I became freeze and didn't know how to tell her the vets were wrong. I know. I'll tell you something else. I talked about how confronting it is to hear what we're saying. Because if you've put a horse to sleep, and many people put horses to sleep that don't appear sick, they just appear sore. If you've done that, and then you hear what we're saying, you do not want to believe that. Because that means that was human error and you could have saved your horse. Hormones are also not choosy. It's not choosy. If it's going to affect MMP enzymes to go into nipper overdrive, they are going to go into nipper overdrive on all 4 feet, not just in the front feet. They've been looking down the wrong place. They've been looking in the wrong area. They've been looking in the area of the laminae, and they shouldn't have been looking there. They should have been looking at the hoof capsule. Causing problems with the laminae, but that's where they should have been looking.
It's there for all to see.
It is.
It's just that people are blind to it because it's almost like they've got blinkers on. They've always got blinkered.
I'll shut up now then.
Oh, bless Pia.
She does all the talking.
She's missed you.
Marianne says, hello, very late. We'll catch up.
Hi, Marianne.
Therese says, hi all. Ellen says, shoes, nails have always offended me. Now watching these videos for 6 months, PPT offends just as much.
There's a lot of it out there, unfortunately.
Well, it's everywhere, isn't it?
It's everywhere. Yeah. It's everywhere.
Weren't we today? We were woken up with one of our pros putting it in our student pro school group. Some images of a little pony she's just gone off to see urgently on an urgent call, and she did an amazing job, didn't she? She had to take these horrible imprint shoes off, horrible high heels, did an incredibly good trim. Pony was completely crippled. And then afterwards, just after the trim, still very stilted because there's a lot of changes need to take place. There's a lot of tendons and ligaments have got to start easing and relaxing. But walked off, was walking around with other little ponies, a little bit stilted, yes, but walking of her own accord. And when all that scenario I spoke about earlier was basically what happened with that pony, and the vet and the farrier had told the owner that they were going to try the imprints, weren't they, for 6 weeks, see if it made any difference. What did they think they were going to do? Just magically make P3 go back to its position again? I mean, it's honestly ridiculous, isn't it? And the heels were like this long. Holy hell! 5 time zones. Bowie. It's Bowie. I don't know.
It's Bowie because it's spout Bowie. We would say it was David Bowie, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
But it's not David Bowie. It's spout as Bowie, but it's pronounced Bowie. There's probably a rhyme in there somewhere. I didn't even mean to.
Jeanette says, once buy sandpaper, sponge block for finishing. What grade sand do you use? 80, probably, I'd say.
Yeah.
A bit rougher because the horn's quite hard. Carrying on from We Love Sport, if my horse has a separation lamellar edge as P3, but it has been rotated, yes.
Yes.
It's been in the wrong position, i.e. the Palmer processes have been too high, the growth rates have been affected, toes have been off at some point. Yep. I try one more time. Look at the video of mine, Mama Red, in the group, those red-headed girls. This.
Redheads, we're surrounded by them.
Ooh. Ooh. Sorry. I thought I'd show you this. Does everybody remember? Let's see if I can find it. Does everybody remember Fashion? The Little Pony Fashion, south of Paris. Owned by Hélène, with her friend Carol.
Yes.
And Asha, my Ash, has been helping them and trimming. And of course, we had to go away. Fashion was in a terrible state, lying down, crippled, horrible high heels, terrible rotation, some osteonecrosis, and couldn't get up. And Asha turned up, did the first trim. She got up, she started moving around. Second trim, she was doing even better. I cannot tell you how crippled. I mean, Garry would know because he's dealt with a lot of them that are very similar. But Helen put a post up today and said, I just want to thank Asha Setchell and the marvellous team for all the help they're doing with Fashion. And I just wanted to show you this, because while we were away in Australia and New Zealand, when we were away down under, we were away for longer than Asha would have left Fashion being trimmed. And so they had to do a bit of a trim, they were putting the track up themselves. And this was the first, I think this was the first day that Little Fashion was put on her track, or not first day. She'd been on the track for maybe a day or 2 days. So she sent this to us in our group. Let's find it. It's only very short. It's only short, but this is a pony, and there's a picture of this pony in the group, and her hair's changing. I don't know if you noticed, Garry, her hair is looking less raggedy because she was lying down so much. She's starting to have a better looking body as well. But
circulation's working.
Yeah. This is what she sent us. Should we do that one more time? Let's do that one more time, just so we can see it. This is like it's like, do you know the floor exercises? The floor in the Olympics when they do the tumbling. This is a horse's version of the floor tumbling. She's still a little stilted, but she's getting there. Yeah, there ain't an absolute nothing on this earth would have made or been. She would never have been able to do that with the feet that she had. She could not walk. So I just thought I'd show you that, because that is tremendous.
That's awesome.
Isn't it?
Awesome job. It's amazing what can happen when you got the right team and you just follow logic. It is just so logical.
And it's over and over and over again. We see this. Of course, I was asked a question, Garry, by lovely Martin McCaw, Hazel's husband down under, Marty. And we were all having lunch, and we were all sat in a circle, and this was on the last workshop, and he looked across the room and he said, so, because we were talking about a particular farrier and a particular group of trimmers that had been trained, one of which was on our workshop and had completely changed to the TPW. She said, chopping toes never suited me anyway, because it was just awful. And we were talking about how many successes they have. And she said, it's variable. Some get through, but many don't. And many end up having all sorts of horrible problems. And so Marty said, what's your success rate?
Well, As long as there's no significant osteonecrosis, it's 100%.
with as long as the owner's on board fully.
Our owner's on board fully, and there's no significant osteonecrosis, the success rate is 100%.
And he just looked at me and he went, I said, I know it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Because that is nowhere close to what other people get. They don't get close to that. And he went, is that true? I went, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. As another example, Fashion, crippled, has got some osteonecrosis, owner on board, putting the track up, getting her moving, great trims, horrible, I'm telling you now, bizarre looking feet, not to us because we know what these kind of feet look like. Vroom. She's got feet that look like human feet now because it's going down and it looks like it's like that. She looks like she's got human feet. Those feet are way longer than any human being in the equine world would cope with. It's a human. And yet you saw what she was doing there. She's bucking away happily. Will she ever grow a perfect little hoof? Maybe not, but that doesn't matter to her. She doesn't care what her feet look like as long as she feels better. But yeah, when Marty asked that, everybody just stared and went, because it sounds.
So it's almost unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. Sounds like we're blowing our own trumpet. We've got big egos.
Yeah. No, don't believe us. Believe your horse. Just trust the process, but you've got to be on board.
And you've got to get the trim right.
Of course.
So a lot of people we see think that they're following the Phoenix way by letting the toe grow. And we see, in fact, actually, I could probably show you an example of that. If you hold on a minute, I can show you an example of an X-ray of a foot. Let's
while you find it, there was a lady that I was helping that had done the challenges and had a VIP consultation, and she had a horse in the background. In actual fact, we weren't actually talking about this horse, and it was a pony, and I could just see the feet in this picture. Who did those feet belong to? And it was right at the back of the picture. And it was a fairly typical Coke can foot. So basically what had happened is the foot had just grown down like this. So what had happened in the past is she was trimming to what she thought was the hard sole plate, and she used to chop the toes off, but she stopped chopping the toes off. So the toe went down here and the toe was hitting the ground. But when she was trimming, she was just going like this, and it was growing and going up like this. So it wasn't addressing this, what the P3 being positive.
Exactly that.
Because the back of the foot hadn't been changed. So it was almost because of the Stop the Chop campaign, everybody stopped the chop, but missed the point of the hoof capsule being such an influence too. So she was doing this, and there was varying rates of sometimes she get better, sometimes she wouldn't, because this was probably happening. And yeah, the P3 alignment is really important. Really important.
Hang on a minute. Let's just put that back to where it was. I'm just bringing it up for you. Right. So it's not, this isn't a perfect one for one, but I want to just show you exactly basically what Gary's just been saying. So you can, if the trim isn't right, there's an awful lot, and this comes from not getting the right kind of education, coming onto the Phoenix group, thinking you've got an idea of what's going on, listening, watching the videos, but then picking your horse's feet up and not quite getting it, because you're not getting the right information. And as soon as people pick a foot up and they've got a live foot in front of them, anything that was already in their head goes out the window, because fear kicks in. And so consequently, when they go to trim the heels, they're so frightened that they're going to, because they don't understand the anatomy, they're so frightened they're going to go too far. They don't go far enough, and they don't go far enough at the right angle either. And so exactly what Garry said, they end up just doing this, and they don't change the angle of P3 whatsoever. And consequently, the horse doesn't get better. But the toes keeps getting long. The toes getting longer because they stop chopping it off. The vets turn up, they do an x-ray, they see P3 rotated, and it gives TPW a bad name, because they've seen this long toe gone, oh my God, you need to chop the toe off because the toe is causing the rotation. No, the heel's causing the rotation, but you've not altered that. So let me just show you an example here. Where have you gone? I've lost. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't know why I've lost you. Oh no, there you are. Let me just put you over here so I can see you over here. So obviously this is not exact, because I've got an x-ray underneath there. But this foot, look at the coronary band. This is exactly what I was talking to you about, with people thinking that the bones are sinking down through the capsule. Because what we've got going on here is the owner was trying to do what we were saying, leave the toe alone. She hadn't had an x-ray at this point. We had the x-rays afterwards. So she thinks that she's doing TPW trim. Now this horse, if you look at it here, has not got enough ratio to front dorsal wall to heel. Don't look at this. Look at this. That's the height there. And if we look at this, we can see that these heels, if we look, we'll do it from here. So we'll put this like that. That's probably better to do it like that. You'll get more of what we're talking about. The heel to toe ratio should at least, or toe to heel ratio should really be 2 and a bit to 1. And you can see quite clearly here, wait, let's get that up right. We haven't got that, because the vertical depth at the toe has been reduced compared to the heel. So no matter how long you leave that toe thinking that you're doing the TPW trim or following Mother Nature's constants, you're not. And I'll show you this. Ooh. There you go. So we've not got enough at the front, and we've got too much at the back. And this doesn't matter how long that toe gets.
Nothing's going to change.
Nothing will change. Because every time the owner comes to trim, just like Garry just showed you, this happens. And because they're not, so apex of the frogs, let's just say it's just there, it's roughly right. They're just doing this. And in many cases, when other hoof care professionals come, it makes the horse worse, because they're just over thinning here. And then they get worried, and especially if they see bruising in the heels, which you will almost definitely see in a horse like this, because it's been high for so long. So you're never going to get anywhere. So consequently, everybody goes, that's terrible, long toe, horse isn't doing well. So the horse then has to change, because what you have to do is you have to trim and remove a wedge in realignment. Oh, I don't know what happened. What happened? Let's just get rid of that a minute. And that's what you have to do. And that becomes your new normal. You can leave the toe alone, but that then becomes your new normal. And now you can see that's gone, that wedge. And now you can see how much foot
is still missing.
And that gets that simple little thing there is so desperately misunderstood. It's about geometry, really. This bit that's missing here is very similar, because I haven't got the outer hoof wall there. I've just drawn a line through. It's very similar to how much has got to go. That's how the foot should have been trimmed. All of that had to go. But people don't trim that way. They trim the other way.
And obviously you don't chop the toe off.
No. Well, no, because if you come along and you chop this off, you've just removed all that growth. Because what we're trying to do while we're leaving this alone in front of the apex of the frog is getting depth under here.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is an example of an owner thinking they are following what we're doing by misinterpreting what we're saying. And obviously it's not their fault, but that's why doing the challenges or the workshops, especially getting onto the 10-day group session, why it helps, and why this will never fix the horse's problem. Doesn't matter how long you let that toe go, you're never going to fix this horse's problem, because you've not addressed the heels. And just look at this coronary band for a moment. If we rotate this back, see what happens to the coronary band. And you see how it's not, it sort of looks like it's dipping here and going up here. It's just basically following the issues that we have here at the front. And then all the back of the foot, Garry talks about this a lot, back of the foot relaxes. So simple when you know, but what makes people scared is when they start seeing, they don't understand the angle they've got to go in to realign P3, and they start seeing a lot of bruising underneath here, and it makes them stop. Yet heel heights are remarkably consistent, remarkably so. And the toe length of a horse is, they are fairly consistent in the range that they have. It's not a huge range, is it, Garry?
No. The back of the foot is more differing, because you end up having this space at the back. If you had this is off of what we think is a comptoir. So if we were to put a Shetland pedal bone up against it, it would probably be that long. So yeah, not a great deal different. But if we were to put a Shire against this, it would probably be just a little bit bigger. So in relation to the size of the animal, the front of the pedal bone is not in any way related. But however, if you've got this little pedal bone here for a Shetland, you wouldn't have it really wide at the back like that.
No, exactly.
It would be like this big.
Exactly.
So it's about what goes on at the back, which creates the extent of the foot for the bigger animal.
And we've seen an awful lot. We see it all the time. Professionals banging on about palmar angle and constantly talking about what they think. And Garry, you said this, haven't you, before, where some people think it's above 5, below 5, 3 to 5, 5 to 10. It varies. It's what I think. It's what I think. No, it's what I think. It's what I think. It's what I. And you know that they don't know because they're always starting from an incorrect foundation.
Yeah. Because
So
we're all starting up from something that has been trimmed by what a human thinks it needs to be trimmed like.
That's right.
So it's not a baseline.
No,
They haven't got a baseline.
no, because they never ever trim to the horse's constants.
No.
It's so rare that you will find somebody who's in the traditional world, or that's a barefoot trimmer who thinks they're not in the traditional world, and a farrier and a vet. It's so rare to ever find anybody other than us, or other than people who trim to the natural foot, which of course is not just us. There are quite a few other people in the world, but in the great scheme of things, we're in the minority. Because they don't. Therefore, when they x-ray a foot that they think is normal, palmar angle is higher than it would be because the heels are not down where they should be. So if you start from the incorrect baseline, of course you're going to scrap over it, because nobody really bloody knows. Pia says, oh yes, fashion. Marianne says, oh, fashion, how wonderful. Absolutely. Wowie, go fashion. They must be so happy. And she'll, oh God, yeah. If you see her post, Helen's post, with a picture of fashion, go and comment on it. Big her up, because she needs that. She's doing so well. So go and give her a big, it's on the Phoenix group. Go give her a big boost. Awesome live trimming while I listen to you. What time is it in Uruguay? Just wanted to do a quick shout out to horsemen. Just wanted to give a shout out to the horse trainer friends in Queensland, Australia, who have been evacuated due to,
They've had major floods, haven't they?
God. So they're getting loads of wet weather in the north, and they've got a horrible drought in the south. Lots of licenses have been swept away, but that's awful. Oh my God. Big shout out. We do have people from the north in Queensland. We had a lovely girl came down from Queensland. I'll have to go and have a look. Oh Lord, Jeanette, prayers to all. Kelpo Cavio. Marion says, fantastic visual. Oh, Kelpo Cavio, finally some Finn here. With somebody from Finland. In part, it is, yes, the owner fault for joining you without trusting and learning. Yes, yes, we can always say that, can't we? And you're right. I don't think people think they need to know. I think people think they've got it. They've watched copious amounts of videos and stuff, and they've got it. And it's true, some people get it, but most don't. And therefore they do that because they're terribly fearful when they pick the foot up. They're just too afraid. I'm
sure the lady that I was telling you about, the lady I told you about that was growing the toe out and was effectively doing this, by her own admission, is a full-time hoof care professional. And it wasn't until she did the challenges and had a VIP one-to-one with me, and I saw that pony's feet right in the back of this picture. We weren't even talking about that horse. That it came to light. That's the reality. So yes, we do help as many people as we possibly can. but not everybody can get it all right. And all I'm going to say to end this session, knowledge is power.
The
Knowledge is the right knowledge. The right knowledge.
Right, just to end it then, see if you can speak some Finnish.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Go on.
It's not going to happen.
Go on, come on,
No,
do it.
No,
I'm going to give it a go. Oi!
Oi.
Oi, Sittenhan. Tasso Olan Tutuya. Lulin Jo Eta Usia. See, fluent.
I'll do the heart at the end.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, did it? I've never seen that. I didn't know it did that. You got your fireworks.
Is it true? We'll just do the last few questions. Is it true that if heels get so low that the periople is removed in the back of the heel, that the hoof capsule can fall off? Meaning, does the periople hold the hoof capsule on the foot? No.
Not the periople.
No, that's just covering. That's just a waxy layer that covers the horn to hairline that is protective. It's 5:20 in Uruguay. Can I be honest? When vets came, they went crazy because of Red's toes. I felt all alone, but get all the support and help from there. It's awful. I so feel for you guys. But it will be on the other foot one day, and not that far in the future. If we keep pushing, it will be on the other foot, and they will be going, holy shit, we shouldn't have done that. Thanks for a brilliant show. Off to bed now. Pia says, and she is fine now. I'm almost fine. They need to see this. Could not do this without you. I'm so pleased to hear that. Well done, you guys. And
She's
I know
doing ever so well, Pia.
I know Gary's helping you. Well done. Right. We're off.
See you Thursday.
See you Thursday. I'll try not to talk so much next time. Sorry. I'll see you tomorrow, mate.
Okay. Take care.
Take care now.
Take care, everyone. See you soon.